Hey, Leslie, can you hear me okay?
I can.
All right, great. We'll get started with questions, and John will have our first question.
Okay.
Hey, Leslie, John Worrell.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Good seeing you. How many times did you replay Micah Hyde's interception in the film room today?
Oh, man, a bunch of different times. You know, it was hard to see from the sideline what exactly had happened or how he had made the catch. So when I got in my office and had a chance to watch it, I ran it back a few different times, and I texted him right away early in the morning. I'm sure he was like, what's up? But it was just an incredible play by a very, very good player.
What was it about his positioning, or was it instincts, or what was it that made him able to get to that ball and snatch it out of the air just before Aguilar could catch it?
I think it's a combination of things, John. We talk often around the building about his elite ball skills. I mean, that was one of the reasons we signed him. When we were going into free agency in our first year here as a staff, we saw his ball skills and his ability to be able to make those hard catches. And of course, he was a punt returner in Green Bay as well. And so we wanted that in our secondary. And so the fact that he has great ball skills and understands what it takes to track the football, and that's exactly what that was. There's a receiver, there's another defensive back, in the picture, but he's able to see the receiver, but see the ball at the same time with his peripheral vision. And those are the guys that have those elite ball skills that know how to track the ball. And that goes back to your baseball experience a little bit, guy who's played baseball and had to track fly balls. And so I think it's a lot of things that allowed him to be able to make that play. But outstanding athletic play.
Because you've been crying about Micah and Jordan ever since that Atlanta game in Week 4 in 2017. How much? Well, you have, haven't you?
Man, it's so funny you said that. I almost referenced that when I was talking about his ball skills, because in that game, we were being challenged some, and Michael made some great plays. Then people began to get away from testing us down the field for the longest time. We've been really good at not giving up explosives down the field. And so people avoided taking shots in our secondary down the field, in large part to the way Micah played back in that game, going back to 17, and it's kind of followed us. So when he made that play, and I watched it again, I said, finally someone decides to test us with a shot, and Micah makes this play. So it'll probably go away. I'm not sure if we'll see many shots down the field like that again, but just a great effort by him.
And if I may, and I'm sorry for taking up so much time, I apologize to my colleagues, but when you look at Tyreek Hill and how he seems to have kind of like reinvented himself in some ways and being more of an underneath guy this year, what challenges does that present now to you, knowing that he could blow you over the top, but also hurt you underneath?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that run out the catch, that rack that people talk about all the time. He can turn a 3-yard hitch or a 5-yard slant into an 80-yard completion. So he presents all kind of problems. And you're right, they're targeting him a little bit more underneath, but they're still threatening you down the field as well. So you got to protect yourself, and you just got to find a way to tap him. He's a heck of a runner after he catches the football, going back to his punt return days. And we got to do a good job of trying to slow him down.
Thanks so much, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, good to see you. Heather Prusak here. When you look at the Chiefs offense, and obviously KC had a rough, stretch to start the season, but they've had a lot of success lately. I mean, you just look at what they did to the Steelers last night. What are some of the differences that maybe you're seeing from the way they played back in Week 5 when you guys played them to, maybe some of the differences you're seeing from them to now?
The thing that probably sticks out, Heather, is they're not giving away the football like they were early in the season. That really comes to mind, and their defense is doing a great job of taking the ball away and assisting them from an offensive standpoint. So I think the combination of the offense taking care of the football in the way their defenses come on, they've really become a more complete team, and that presents problems for opponents. And we've got to find ways to take the ball away. They're doing a pretty good job of not giving it away.
And then, obviously Patrick Mahomes has so many different weapons around him, but he himself can make so many different things happen, extending the plays when he gets out of the pocket, just his vision downfield. This is a simple question, but how much of a problem is he?
Well, all those things that you just mentioned keep all defensive coordinators up at night. Because you're right. You think you got things covered up, and then he starts moving around, and it becomes backyard football, and guys are scrambling trying to get in position to make plays. And he's just a terrific athlete who can make throws from anywhere in any angle. And there really is no defense for that. You just got to, hold on and hope you can make some plays along the way. But he's going to make some plays, getting out of the pocket, running for first downs, making weird throws, off balance. And you just got to find a way to make a few plays along the way.
Thanks, Leslie. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, I want to continue on with Patrick Mahomes there. I know it doesn't get easier probably facing him multiple times, but now that you guys have seen him multiple times in the last 2 seasons, can you become aware of different tendencies more, or how does it change now that you've been able to see him several times in the last 2 years?
Yeah, like we've seen him a few times, he's seen us as well. So he has some idea what we might want to do on defense, and we think we have some idea what he might want to do, what Andy Reid might want to do from an offensive standpoint, he and Eric Bieniemy. But the one thing that trumps that is what we were just talking about with Heather, his athletic ability. You'll have people in spots because of his creativity and his ability to make plays off schedule. It kind of wipes out some of your strategy at times. So we may think we have an idea what might be coming, but because of his ability to be able to make those off-schedule plays, it's difficult at times.
And then with Travis Kelce, what do you guys have to be aware of with his skill set? Yesterday he goes and throws a touchdown pass to add to his resume.
Yeah. Well, he's another weapon. Patrick has a number of weapons, and obviously Travis is one of them. Maybe the premier tight end in our league, his ability to be able to be flexed out like a receiver, play in the core, and be a block at times. And he's an excellent player, and we'll have to do everything we can to contain him.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie. We've asked a few different times throughout the season about Greg Rousseau and just the season he's been having. He had such a strong game, though, week 5 against Kansas City. So what did it mean for him to have that game then? And, what do you think he can build off of that now facing them again?
Yeah, I think, Catherine, we were looking at that tape a little bit today ourselves as a staff and just watching the impact plays that Greg made. And, of course, he's had a really good rookie season for us. But I think when Greg goes back and looks at that game again, he's going to see some plays and he's going to say, you know what, I need to do that again. And we need that from him. He really impacted that game in a lot of ways, both in the run game as well as some of the things they were doing pass game wise. And, he's grown a lot over the course of the season, but we need his impact in order for us to have the success we need on defense this coming Sunday.
You mentioned a couple examples, but maybe where did you see his impact the most in that meeting?
Well, I think in both areas, in run defense, his ability to be able to take on blockers and be able to shed and make plays in the run game was big for us. And obviously, his getting his hands up and coming away with an interception in the red zone to take points off the board. That's a big time play. Then, of course, he was named Rookie of the Week based on that game. So he had a tremendous impact in both areas, the run game as well as in the pass game.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, Alex Brasky with the Batavia Daily News. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the impact that Levi Wallace's interception had this past week and just the play from him and what you've seen from him over these past few weeks, especially since Tre'Davious White went out with his injury?
Yeah, Alex, he's really stepped up for us. Just watching Levi fill that void in some ways that we lost with Tre'Davious' leadership. Tre'Davious was a tremendous leader for us, as well as an excellent player. And we were hoping that someone would step in and give us some of the verbal leadership that we would be missing. And Levi's done that. He's really helped, I think, Dane in a lot of ways, building his confidence. I've given him some tips on how to play this receiver or how we like to play this particular coverage. And I think that's benefited our entire defense. And of course, Levi's play, I think he's been studied for us all season long, but plays like the one he made on Saturday night, that was a big time play coming out of half. They're trying to get in a rhythm. And then he comes up with a great interception off a tip ball and kind of switched the momentum back to us again. So he's been really studied for us. He's made a number of plays in the absence of Tre'Davious.
Hey, Leslie, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. How do you balance your time right now when you are interviewing for jobs and you're trying to put your best foot, forward in those interviews because, it's the pinnacle of your profession. It's where you want to be, with also making sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to get ready for the Chiefs or whoever it may be that you're playing after that, with all that you're trying to accomplish here in Buffalo.
Yeah, it's a good question, Jay. For me, it's all about the games that we have, and that's how I approached it last week leading up to our New England game, just making sure I stayed locked in on what we had to get done against that particular team. I'm not the type of person I can divide my mind and switch gears, so I had to stay locked in. And then after the game, I started looking at some things, and but that was like when I got home, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I just went through some things at that point and just did the best that I could. But I couldn't neglect what I had to do in preparation for our ball game. It won't be any different this week. I have to really stay locked in on what we have to get done. It's hard to look at another team for me personally and stay focused on what I have to get done. So for me, it's all about this opponent, and then you shift gears once that time comes. But for me, it's being locked in on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. And in regards to the Chiefs, we've talked a lot, and you just sort of addressed it there about how this secondary has withstood the loss of Trey and continued to play at a high level. You had maybe a tough stretch against Tampa, right, and Brady. But is it fair to say that, Mahomes and what those guys do offensively, this is going to be probably the biggest challenge yet for the secondary without Trey?
I would think so, just trying to reflect back on some of the teams we played. But this is a high-powered offense, a top 5 offense in our league. And, they've been a number 1 offense in our league. So they definitely present challenges for any defense with a quarterback of the caliber of Patrick and the weapons that he has, not just Travis and Tyreek. They're weapons galore. And just watching what McKinnon did last night, that's another weapon for the offense. So they definitely present challenges to any defense, and we won't be any different. We'll have to really be on top of our game to try to slow them down. They are a really good offense for a reason.
Yeah. Thanks, Leslie. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Hey, Leslie, this is Jackson Roberts over in Rochester. How are you?
Hey, Jackson, doing good.
All right. Saw Jerry Hughes get a little emotional before and after the last game. Just, from your eyes, what has he meant to the defense?
And Jerry brings so much energy to our defense, and his leadership, he's been really consistent in that area for us. We have some young guys that we're trying to bring along, and to have a guy like Jerry Hughes in your locker room, in the huddle with you as a young player to kind of model, he's been tremendous for us in that way. He's a great example of the work ethic that we kind of, really want all our players on defense to really have. So to have a guy who's talented, a really good player, who's given us great production, but also being a solid leader at the same time, that's, as a coach, that's the best of both worlds. When you have a talented guy who's a solid leader for you and just brings great energy every single day to practice. And that's one thing as a coach, and I'm sure Eric Washington would say the same thing along with Jock Cezier, our assistant D-line coach. One of the things you never have to worry about with Jerry is what you're going to get from day to day, because he's so consistent in his effort and the way he prepares. So just love the fact that he's a part of our defense, and he's one of the people that we count on day in and day out.
And with that said, when he's able to lead like that and he's able to, kind of be that role model figure, how much easier does that make your job and the other coaches on the defense, would you say?
Oh, it's so much easier. It's one thing for us to talk and give instructions, but to have a guy that we can point to and say, take a look at Jerry Hughes. Why do you think he's running to the ball as hard as he's running to the ball with the number of years he's been in the league? And if you're a first, second year guy and you see a guy like Jerry busting his tail every day and the way he comes to meetings and he's taking notes, he's asking questions. I mean, it just makes our job as coaches so much easier when your good players, your best players, are modeling what you're looking for as a coach. So we're fortunate to have it.
Makes sense. Thanks so much. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Yes, good afternoon, Coach Frazier. George Radney, Challenger Community News.
Hey, George, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Doing good.
Glad to hear it. And I'm wondering, this week, is this one of these games where you just can't have enough defensive backs on your roster, on your active roster in this particular game coming up?
Yeah, sometimes you look out there and see all that speed that the Chiefs have, and you want to say at times, well, we need more defensive backs out there to try to run with these guys and keep up with them. But I think we'll be all right with the guys that we have, and our pass rush along with our coverage are going to have to work together. Rushing coverage is going to have to work this week in order to be effective, and that's the idea for us. We've got to find ways to be able to affect this quarterback.
Absolutely, because, man, I see a new guy, Addison Pringle. Every time you look up, he sounds like he got up his sleeve, Andy Reid. Man, he got all kinds of guys he just come out of nowhere with. Man, oh, man. Fast, and they all can catch the ball.
Yes, they got some weapons.
One last question for you. F.P. Abada, is he close to being ready? Because I think he's a big body and can, man, really push that defensive line through the offensive line.
Yeah, he's kind of day-to-day right now, George, so we'll see how he progresses as the week goes on. Be great to get him back, but, we'll see. Hopefully he'll make it back, hopefully.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, as always, and good luck coming up on Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, Leslie, I guess I'll go here. You guys haven't had to change a whole lot with with Tre'Davious out. Is this an instance where maybe you'll be tested more than ever with Tre'Davious' absence here in the secondary?
Yeah, John, this offense definitely presents some challenges, like George is saying. I think it was Jay as well, talking about the weapons they have on offense and the problems they present, both at the quarterback position, their halfbacks, their receivers, their tight ends. I mean, they got weapons, everywhere. So they're going to definitely challenge us for sure. And we'll just have to find ways to try to slow them down. But this is one of the best offenses in the league, and they give defenses trouble throughout the league. So we'll definitely have to fight and do the best we can to contain them.
And I asked Brian this, and he referred to them almost like a division opponent, considering how many times you've seen them in a short span here, twice last year, now a second time here. What are the pros and cons when scheming for a game like this, having played them as often as you have recently?
I think you just have to be careful about how much you do. And, they've got really good players. I think we have some good players as well. You just got to, the familiarity, you don't want that to breed contempt. You really want to be able to strategize with the fact in mind, yes, they know us pretty well. They've seen us, a few times in a short period of time, and we think we know them fairly well. So you don't want to just overdo it when it comes to strategizing and putting together a game plan. You want to make sure you're doing the things that you do well and that you're able to go out and execute.
And I also asked Brian, and I liked his response, but knowing that there's the potential maybe that you'll see a team a second time or you'll see them again, do you ever withhold certain things or not want to show all of your cards so you have something left to maybe throw their way that's different down the line?
On rare occasions, you might do that, but for the most part, you're trying to win that game in our league. You know, it's all about that game and getting the win. There are some times, depending on who it is, you may say, okay, we're going to see them in another week or 2 weeks, whatever it may be. But usually, it's all about winning that game. That's the mindset.
Okay. Thanks, Leslie.
Well,
Coach Frazier, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing today, sir?
doing good. How are you?
I'm great, man. And I'm quite sure you was watching the game last night just like I was, because I see Kansas City now using these misdirection counter screens with their running backs and tight ends showing screen left, but coming back doing screen right. So how important will eye discipline while paying discreet attention to detail be, very important on Sunday?
Well, Mookie, you just took my opening line to our players right out of my mouth. That's the opening line. Eye discipline. It's important, man, this week with all the misdirection, like you said, all the stuff that's going on behind the line of scrimmage. You got to be so disciplined with your eyes and really sticking to your assignment as well, because that's one of the ways they get teams. Guys see too much, and all of a sudden you're not where you're supposed to be. So you sound like one of our assistant coaches right there. So I like that. Yes, eye discipline would be very, very important.
Yes, sir. And I have nicknamed your back end the air traffic control unit, the way they just control things in the air, because you got this defense playing lights out. And congratulations on finish with the #1 defense, by the way. You have a saying on your board: if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Care to elaborate on that?
Kevin was telling me that people could see my board when I'm sitting there. It's true. Yeah. Well, I think in life, now this could be too philosophical. I don't want to get too philosophical, but when things are smooth, easy, you can get a little complacent at times, and you don't always grow when you don't get challenged. I think it's important to be challenged in life. I think it's not a bad thing to have some adversity every now and then, or experience some difficult times, because it forces growth if you handle it the right way. And that's kind of the essence of what that means. I mean, you need to be challenged in life, and it can cause growth if you handle it the right way.
I love it, Coach. I love it. And one more, if I may. Dr. King's legacy. How important is his legacy been, not only to the nation, but as African Americans as well?
Yeah, when you look back at our history, and Matt asked me this question last week, and you just know the impact that Dr. King had on America, not just our race. When you're fighting for rights, people's rights, civil rights, the doors that have been opened. I don't know, look, if it were not for his sacrifice, if we'd be having this conversation right now, because it opened up doors throughout the world, not just in athletics, not just in politics, but in life. There are opportunities that were presented because of the sacrifice that Dr. King and many others made to give me an opportunity, people that look like me. And I'm forever grateful for that sacrifice, someone being willing to give their life to give me and others an opportunity to experience an equal opportunity. I don't think there are any words that I could ever use to show my thanks any more than to come to work every day and work as hard as I can to be an example that Dr. King and many others that sacrificed their lives for me to have a chance to represent in a right way. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to represent in a proper way, so that the others that come after me will be proud of the work that I've done, that kind of dovetails some of the things that Dr. King did. Just very thankful for the sacrifice that he made so that I would have an opportunity, and many others.
Absolutely, Coach. You're doing an awesome job. Good luck this Sunday.